Let's do it.
Welcome, welcome, everyone. Hello. Welcome. So glad you're with us. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Allie Tharp. I'm with Green Faith as a senior organizer on the United States team, and I am one of your hosts this evening or afternoon, evening, depending on where you are in the world. And we're so glad to have you here for our Climate Finance on the Ground Summit session. So thank you. If this is your first workshop in the Climate Finance Summit, or if you're coming back, why don't you go ahead and say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. Anything else you want to share about how you're coming in today. And a deep, heartfelt thank you and welcome. So glad you're here with us. So I will give a brief overview of the great workshops we've had so far and what we're doing today. Chelsea, if you want to put up the week at a glance of our summit. We had a great opening session on Monday with quite a few of you and others. And then last night, a beautiful program about spiritual practices for resilience. And then we have this session today. Here we are with Climate Finance on the Ground. It's looking a little, there we go. Climate Finance on the Ground is where you are and we are together. Tomorrow we have our action hour where we put all of our learning into practice, into action, and then a bonus session on Friday, Values Investing for Faith Institutions and Endowments. And all of these are at the same time, this time. So feel free to just mark your calendar and use the same Zoom link and come back Thursday or Friday if you are able. Wonderful. Okay. So before we usually here at Green Faith, we start with a spiritual moment. First, I wanted to invite William, if you want to share the images from last night, the spiritual resilience workshop. We have something we want to share out from that with this group this morning.
Yeah, thanks, Allie. I think Chelsea's going to share her screen. I will put the link in the chat. We had a beautiful time last night at our session, practicing spiritual practices together. And then we also kind of gleaned from who was there about what practices keep them going. And so that's what this amalgamation of practices is here on your screen. We broke it up into 3 different sections: the head, the heart, and the body. And so we love this resource that was created from all of you and want to share it out. That way you can pick some of these to do as a daily spiritual practice for yourself. So we're really excited about it. And thanks to everyone who came last night.
Beautiful. Thank you, William. I know I'll be doing some gardening. I saw that on the list. That's one practice I hope to get in today. And yeah, just want to invite everyone to pick something on that list or something else that calls to you to spiritually ground and create that resilience. Okay. So our spiritual moment, I wonder if Saffet is here yet, and I can go ahead and introduce him, but I want to just maybe check in. Transparent facilitation moment. What do you think, Chelsea?
We lost Saffet. He's on his way. It sounds like so. Actually, maybe we could just have folks continue to say hi in the chat, and especially if you joined our spiritual practices for resilience last night. Let us know what you shared and what practices are keeping you going during your climate justice work. We'll just keep connecting as a community before we ground for a moment. I know there are some faces that I saw last night who joined us, so So glad to have those folks come again. Beautiful. The compassion meditation, breath, breathing, listening to a babbling brook, love from a pet. That can be a spiritual practice. Thank you for naming that, Phoebe. I'm sure many resonate with that. Thank you, Daniel. Spiritual practice is the starting point for justice work.
Listening to birds, grounding in gratitude, breathing with the trees. Beautiful. Thank you all for sharing your spiritual practices with us. And I saw Imam Saffet Catovic has joined us. Welcome, Imam Saffet. Just to give a brief introduction, Saffet is a Green Faith Fellow and serves as our Senior Muslim Advisor. He was a national organizer of Bosnia Task Force, a coalition of the major national and regional Muslim organizations advocating for an end to the genocide in Bosnia during the early 1990s. Imam Saffet served in various senior level capacities in the government of Bosnia and Herzegovina. He is co-founder and chair of the Green Muslims of New Jersey, a founding committee member of the Islamic Society of North America, ISNA, Green Initiatives, and he is one of the co-drafters of the Fiqh Council of North America fatwa religious ruling that called for fossil fuel divestment. He is the Imam and Muslim chaplain at Drew University in Madison, New Jersey, where he also received his master's in religion and society, specializing in religion and the environment, and is currently a doctorate of ministry student. He served as the programs manager and head of the ISNA Office for Interfaith Community Alliance and Government Relations, and currently is the director of United Nations Operations for Justice for All, a faith-based global human rights organization. So deep gratitude and welcome to Imam Saffet, and thank you for grounding us in a spiritual moment today.
I think that Zoom is having other plans and Saffet just disappeared again. So we might need to wait a moment, but that was a beautiful introduction.
Oops. Thanks, Chelsea.
Yes, the joys of technology. He was on for a moment. But I think it's a good reminder to just ground. And
can we see that beautiful board with all those spiritual practices again?
And this really was what the session was about last night, was tuning into a different rhythm. Because we're, so many of us are caught up in the go, go, go of like the Zoom calls and getting on and doing the things. And so I think we are being reminded by the universe right now to stop and slow down for a moment.
I love how these are divided between head, heart, and body. I think so many times spirituality, we get sort of centered on the heart piece of it, but it's really good to be reminded that being spiritual involves, thinking, and involves our intellect, and also we can exercise our spirituality through our actions. I love that we're doing that, even on these calls, we're taking action to align our financial decisions with our faiths. So yeah, it's really thought-provoking.
Okay, I see Saffet is coming back. Okay. And
Imam Saffet, are you with us? You should be able to unmute.
Yeah, yes, I'm here. Can you hear me? No.
Yes, we hear you.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I apologize. I had some technical difficulties this morning.
We're glad you're here. And take it away if you would. We'd love to welcome you. I did read your introduction, so we are primed and ready to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. Peace and greetings be with all of you, within you, around you, and with others. I've asked to share a brief reflection, and I'll conclude with a short prayer. According to a verse in the Holy Quran, a book of Revelation, Islam's sacred scripture, a verse which in the Arabic word is referred to as ayah, literally sign, not unlike the ayah, the signs in the natural world. The Quran Taqwini, or the cosmic Quran, the book of creation, God says, chapter 20, verse 55, Minha khalaqnakum wa fiha nu'idukum wa minha nukhrijukum taratan ukhra. From the earth we created you, and into it we will return you, and from it will we bring you forth again for accounting and judgment. Eternal heavenly reward and new life of bliss or its opposite. Our creation, our dunya, our worldly origins, our entire life cycle and physical and spiritual well-being is grounded in and deeply connected to the earth throughout each phase and stage of our life and existence. She is our origin, minha khalaqnakum, our imar, our place of residence and habitation. She is the place of relationship and connection, hablul alam, with one another, with our fellow creatures, great and small. Even more so, our fellow creatures are our fellow worshipers of God, our mutual Rabb, our mutual Lord and Creator. Very shortly after this, I will have to leave and run to Salatul Janazah, the funeral prayer services for a mother and a close childhood friend, a mother of a close childhood friend of mine. She was a believing woman, a loving and caring wife, a nurturing mother, a beautiful soul. These are the verses that are often recited by the Imam as he places the body of the deceased into the ground. From this earth we have created you, to this earth we return you, and from this earth we shall bring you forth again. I'm reminded in this moment, and I bring to mind many things, including the passing of my ummi, my mother, nearly a year ago, and reflect on her care and love for myself and my siblings and children. I'm reminded of the real-time and ongoing connection in Islam's teachings to the womb and that of God's throne, the Arsh. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has said, verily the womb, Rahim, has an iron hook attached firmly to the throne of God. Speaking with a penetrating tongue, the womb says, O Allah, dear God, keep relations with whoever keeps relations with me, and sever relations with whoever severs relations with me. God Almighty responds, I am Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, the gracious, the merciful. I derived the womb, Rahim, from my very name. Whosoever keeps relations with her, God says, I will keep relations with that person. And whosoever cuts relations with her, the womb, I shall cut relations with such a person. As we anticipate and prepare for Mother's Day, and for me, every day is Mother's Day. For those who were good mothers to us, recognizing that not all mothers fulfilled their nurturing and caring role as they should have. I am also reminded of another saying of our Prophet Muhammad regarding the mother of all of us humans, the fellow earthling and fellow earthlings. Tahfidu al-ard fa innaha ummakum. Take care of the earth, for she is your mother. No one does good or evil on her except she will speak of it. The earth nurtures us in the same way as a mother nurtures her child. In Islam, we should show the earth the same reverence we show our mothers. The earth is as sacred as the woman who gave birth to us. She is crying out in pain. The extreme weather events we are experiencing are the sounding of those cries because of what we have collectively done to her. And she is bearing witness and will continue to bear witness in this world and the next as to what we are doing to her, both the good and the bad thereof, to the Lord of the worlds. Mother Earth is our mother. When left to her own devices and not disrupted by our negative anthropomorphic interference, is in balance and harmony with herself, nourishing and protecting us in every moment, giving us the air to breathe, fresh water to drink, food to eat, and healing herbs to cure us when we are sick. Every breath we inhale contains our planet's nitrogen, oxygen, water, vapor, and trace elements. When we breathe with mindfulness, we can experience our interbreathing with the Earth's delicate atmosphere, with all plants, and even the sun, whose light makes it possible for the miracle of photosynthesis. With every breath, we can experience communion. With every breath, we can savor the wonders of life. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, relates that his brother prophet and messenger Dawood, the bringer of the Zabur, the Psalms, inquired of God, "O Lord, show me the hidden blessings upon me, those gifts for which I should be grateful and sing your praises." Allah Almighty said, "O David, breathe." And so David took a breath. Let us take a deep, mindful breath as we reflect upon this reality for a second. Let us bow our heads, open our hands and hearts in prayer. Dear Lord and Creator, to whom is due all praise and gratitude, we ask that through our gathering today and throughout the course of this climate summit, we come to understand our responsibilities to honor, respect, care for, and heal and preserve our Mother Earth, and all her inhabitants in our eco-neighborhoods and throughout the world. She is the only mother we collectively have and share, dear Lord. For just as she has provided for and nurtured us and given of herself so that we may live, survive, and thrive, let us also, dear Lord, adopt an attitude of gratitude and practice of loving care, of giving and kindness, and not of greed and selfishness. Our Lord, let us not be afraid to call out and confront the fossil fuel industry pharaohs of today and their financial backers, and to dismantle their infrastructure of oppression as our forefather in faith and your mighty messenger, the Prophet Musa, peace be upon him, Moses, called out the avarice and confronted the systems of tyranny and oppression of Pharaoh of his day. Systems which always put profit over people and cause harm and impact to the most vulnerable of our human family, those on the front lines, least responsible for the climate crisis, yet forced to suffer its worst effects. Help us, dear Lord, to change our ways, to move away as individuals, families, and communities from lifestyles of overconsumption and greed, to choose instead to walk gently upon the earth by reducing our carbon footprints and deciding to commit to and invest in existences energized not by the addiction to the fossil fuels which are extracted from down under, from the hellish source, to a renewable clean energy future sourced by heavenly sources in the sky and the air, the sun and the wind, for ourselves, for our world, and for the generations yet to come. Dear Lord, let this be so, and let those who believe say, Amen. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, Brother Saffet. My name is Laudato Si Movement, and I'm a Green Faith organizer based in New Jersey. Quickly to reiterate what the summit is all about, we acknowledge that the climate crisis is a crisis of greed. For modern economic theory, frequently equates wealth with prosperity, attributing increase in living quality to economic expansion. To this purpose, for instance, the gross domestic product, GDP, which measures production and transactions over a given period of time, has been a crucial tool for assessing economic progress. An economy is more prosperous that when produce and services are produced and exchanged. However, the negative effect of externalities like inequalities and climate change are not addressed by GDP. The belief of infinite economic growth is a fallacy, and one that nations have used as an excuse not to address climate change while we watch the world burning. The fossil fuel industry species is looking out for investments, looking out for a few stakeholders at the detriment of other stakeholders of the planet Earth. Greed has a bearing on climate change. Greed of a few is destroying our only home, the only place we all share. And the finance industry is propping up the fossil fuel industry, by helping them to add fuel to the burning planet. And for us as people of faith and moral, this goes against our values and for us, an impact it has on other inhabitants of the planet. It's therefore time for us to say no more and to build a movement that centers vulnerable communities on the front line of fossil fuel infrastructure. So where we put our money has huge impact. Today, we'll be hearing from one of our frontline leaders, whose name is Baraka. Baraka is a green faith leader in Tanzania. He's a climate scientist and a livelihood expert. Baraka will be sharing with us how, when banks and asset managers finance fossil fuel, his life and the lives of his communities are affected. Baraka, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Tosini, for inviting me. I would like to not make my video off because of internet challenge. We have seen that these banks and the corporate companies have been investing in fossil fuel, of which the science and the International Energy Agency and the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change have been warning us that if we need to make 1.5 degrees Celsius arrive, which is the point that human being can survive, if we go beyond there, there is no way we can adapt to the impact of climate change. If we go beyond there, this means that we are welcoming extinction. So we have seen that there are some banks which are coming currently to Tanzania. They are investing in the so-called East Africa crude oil pipeline. Currently, we have managed to convince 25 banks to withdraw themselves from funding this project. And the last bank is based in London. That is Standard Chartered Bank. So they withdrawn themselves like 2 or 3 weeks ago. For us, that was a nice move because it took a lot of time, like 3 or 4 years, having battle with them, fighting with them. And these insurance companies, we are also trying to reach out to them, asking them to withdraw from investing in this project, of which regarding Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, IPCC recent report, which was released, I think, on March, said that climate change is the result of investing in fossil fuel. fossil fuel is contributing to climate change for more than 75%. So the solution was clearly stated that we need to keep fossil fuel in the ground if we really want to address climate change. The solution is to let fossil fuel in the ground. So we have some banks based in USA, almost all USA banks, and asset managers are invested in eco. Bank of America and Goldman Sachs, pronounced the Goldman Sachs, have refused to move their money away from eco and total energy. So what does this mean? This means that these banks which are investing in fossil fuel, these banks which are investing in eco, they are investing on our extinction. They are investing on human extinction. We are not going to remain silent. We have chosen to speak, to keep putting pressure on them, requesting them to withdraw from funding this project, from funding fossil fuel, because we know if we let them continue on investing on fossil fuel, if we let them continue investing on eco, this means that we are letting them, we are welcoming human extinction. So what I would like to tell you is this: everyone who is here, please put pressure on these banks and demand that they stop investing in eco. So as Green Faith, we need to call or email the bank CEO, talk to those banks representatives or our bank's manager and insist that they stop investing in eco, because most of us here we are from USA, so it's easy for us to keep pressure. And if you have a bank which you are keeping your money, and then that bank is investing in eco, I think we can organize a boycotting, because there is no way we can always be in friendship with those corporate companies, with those banks which is investing in fossil fuel. We need to tell them that we are serious on what we are speaking about. We are serious about our lives. We are serious about our future generation. We are serious about our planet. As I speak to you now, in Democratic Republic of Congo, 400 people died because of floods. So we cannot continue to see people die in front of our eyes as people of faith that is inhumanity. We cannot tolerate to see this happen in front of us. Next time, it is going to be us. You may think that you are not mostly impacted by climate change, which is sometimes the truth. But what I want to tell you is that nothing can be further from the truth. One day, one time, you will also be mostly impacted as we in the global north. So what I would like to tell you is that join us in fighting against these corporate companies which have been investing in fossil fuels, putting pressure on them, telling them not investing in our extinction. Also, these banks must commit investing in all fossil fuel projects that harm communities and the climate. Let us tell them to stop investing in that. And if they refuse to move their investment away from fossil fuel, joining with the Green Faith to commit to moving your money away from these banks. As I said before, we need to boycott, not putting our money in these banks, investing in fossil fuel, because sometimes we have been polite in addressing our concerns. Now it is the time for us to be very radical, because they seems not to consider what we have been saying. And now we want you to go into Twitter or Facebook and share the post that calls on all US banks and asset managers to stop their investing in fossil fuel. Then we should share a post in the chat that comes from someone on the front line that we want them to amplify. You all should figure out which post we want them to share. It is her time now. We want climate justice. In 2009, developed countries and these companies declared that they are going to provide 100 billion USD annually to these countries most impacted by climate change. Here we are talking about climate finance. That those people hardly impacted by climate change, most of the time, their adaptive capacity is very low. So those banks and those countries were committed to give 100 billion USD, which they haven't played around the promise. They are now committing in fossil finance instead of climate finance. I want everyone who is here amplify my voice, amplify our voice that we need climate finance, not fossil finance. Thank you. I'm done.
Thank you so much, Baraka. Just a moment for all of us to let those words sink in. Baraka is doing incredibly powerful, challenging work on the front lines of the East African crude oil pipeline in Tanzania, and just sending our love, our gratitude to you for making time to join us here online today. So friends, next I will introduce our speaker, Juan Benito Mancias, the tribal chair of the Carrizo Comecrudo Tribe of Texas, also the Ishtokna in their language. And Juan, I'll let you introduce yourself in a little more depth, but Juan and I met in 2016.
Oh, how are you?
Oh, hello?
No.
Was that you, Juan?
No, go ahead.
Okay, just that it's been an honor and a joy to work with Juan over the last 7 years, and I'm deeply grateful for just the commitment, the strength, the endurance of the work that the Ishtokna does for the Texas coast and their traditional lands. So Juan, over to you to share a bit more about yourself and the campaigns that your tribe is working on.
Oh, thank you. I just get back from Santa Cruz. It's like one trip up to the other, trying to continue to raise the awareness of what's happening down in the coast. Of course, in the background of my picture, you see the ships that one of them that caused one of the problems that blew up over the Boca Chica area and destroyed some of our sacred lomas. So it's one of the things that we're having to fight. For me, it's a question of connectedness, and like the reading from that started us off, that we come from the soil, we return to the soil, and it's important to understand that, because and how important it is to protect that which is ours here on these lands, because you're actually walking and living on thousands of years of native people, and especially in Texas. Sometimes you recognize the fact that there are great stories to be told, but there's not a venue to share these stories, to share our Bible, our readings, our spirituality, because our spirituality is written on the walls and the river bluffs, anywhere that we could find a painting to talk about what was happening to us at that day, what we saw, the prophecies that we have that you find down in Seminole Canyon that forewarned and about the horizontal fracking that occurs. So I think that that's something that we need to continue to raise the awareness of, because people have a tendency to accept the romanticized version of what is known as, conventional history to me. And what you get is just a taste of colonial history. And it happens not just to to people who are involved in here, but also with people that are working on trying to understand what is really happening. And one of the biggest teachings that I can share with you is that we're all 70% water, and when we cross over, that water doesn't go into space. It becomes part of the environment. We become part of the environment. We never leave the environment. So when we bathe today, we're bathing in the waters of our ancestors. We take those sacred drinks of water because it's important, because that is our ancestor, and we grow in the gardening that we do. We grow these things out there, and these are our ancestors, the bodies that have become part of the earth again. The last breath that we take is released into this atmosphere, becomes part of the air that we breathe, and it's all pure, it's all sacred. Unfortunately, the people that are doing all of this crazy stuff, like Elon Musk and next decade, all the LNGs, don't realize that all this is connected. And that's why we understand that connectedness to the environment. We aren't here to have dominion over the earth. We're not here to subdue and to multiply. We're here to be part of the creation, and that's all we are. We're not below it, and we're not above it. We're not above the creation. We're only part of it. And we have to understand that. How do we create that balance again? And understand that a lot of the things that have happened in the Americas are because of a genocide that continues to happen, and nobody holds the system accountable to what's going on. And I think it's time that we start recognizing that we have to hold accountable the system that creates the problem. The most recent recant of the doctrine of discovery is only a beginning. It hasn't been completely taken away. It's just that we as Native people may not look like you. We may not talk like you. So that makes you above us, and that's the mentality of what is happening in this country. And I think that for a long time, I think if we're going to look at having an understanding of a spiritual essence, we have to understand that the Native person, the original people of the land, believe that, we are a whole being. We have a teaching of the hand, and we have a teaching that connects us to all that is around us. And it might not be written in some great book that's been passed down through the ages, but it's on those walls. Those prophecies are on those walls. The solstices, the equinoxes, the quarter markers, all of those things are part of who we are. And I think it's important that we
Juan, are you there? It looks like we may have lost his Zoom connection. Is that accurate? Okay. I have a brief video I want to share, just to say the tribe has been fighting 3 liquefied natural gas terminals, the border wall, and SpaceX, the private space exploration on their sacred lands and territories. So there's so many intersecting campaigns that the Carrizo Comecrudo Tribe has been working on. And climate finance has been a key part of that. And they have successfully gotten some of the financiers of Rio Grande LNG to pull out. So there's some inspiration and some lessons we could learn from the campaigning there. And this is a short video from 2017, actually, that shows Juan went to Paris. He's actually going back to Paris later this month to continue the advocacy around stopping these banks from funding the build out of natural gas. So let me play this quick video for you. No, not that one, Chelsea.
Oops, sorry.
Here we go. Oh, no, I don't see it. One second.
My name is Juan Mancias. I am the tribal chairman for the Eshtokna. I'm also the co-chair for the American Indian Movement. The Eshtokna have been fighting the fossil fuel industry in Texas for a long time. It has affected our livelihoods. We call it the Great Snake. Now we have to fight the fracked export terminal in Brownsville. When I found out that BNP and Sociedad were involved in this, I thought to reach out to the French people to stand with us in solidarity against the fracking. It's not just the climate or the environment. It's a question of humanity. The banks need to respect the fundamental rights of the Eshtokna in Texas. They need to respect the citizens of Texas and need to respect the people, the humanity, our ancestors, and our future generations. So I'm coming to France to ask the French banks to drop these export terminals because we want to stand in solidarity. We want to stand fast with our brothers and sisters at the Keystone Pipeline and at Dakota Access Pipeline and the Trans-Pecos Pipeline and the Comanche Trail Pipeline and now with the Valley Crossing Pipeline. We want to stand in solidarity with them. So we want to be able to stop some of that. If we can stop the fracking, we can stop the pipelines. If we can stop the fracking, we can stop a lot of the desecration of sacred sites. I want to go and speak to these banks and let them know that, you can't continue to get the human beings out of the way so you can take whatever you want.
So there's a little background. Again, that's from 2017, and they actually got Societe Generale to withdraw from the LNG recently. I think that just happened the other month. So I want to celebrate that, and I want to welcome Juan back. I just saw him join us again. If I could get tech help with getting his mic back on.
He should be able to unmute now.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. I'm sorry.
All good.
Yes, we've been very working on trying to make people understand and aware of what's going on down in South Texas with the 2 LNGs that we've been fighting for back since 2015, and have kept them at bay until the same week that they fired that ship from SpaceX and blew it up, and a lot of those debris fell where those tanks would be, those LNG tanks. So now it opens a whole new or can of worms for them on how they're going to deal with it. And we have of course, one of the biggest things that we find that we have to usually look for financial aid is to find the attorneys or the groups that will do some attorney work for us in trying to file lawsuits against the local governments, as well as like next decade, who's in charge of the Rio Grande LNG, where we were able to take out those 3 banks, and I'm going to France in the first part of June to talk to a couple of the more, one other bank that's over there, and also see if I can get to talk to Credit Suisse in Switzerland about bailing out, and because they really haven't met their FID, which is their financial income agreement, and so disclosure, sorry. So but the FERC went ahead and gave them a go ahead on starting construction at there in Boca Chica. So that's it's just down the road from Boca Chica, 5 miles, but it's right next to Port Isabel and to South Padre Island. And if you know anything about South Padre Island, it's really one of those areas where we were really struggling to maintain the mom and pops businesses to stay open, because there's no just transition in what they're effectively trying to promote there. With all they're doing is dangling a carrot. I call it dangling a carrot marketing. And so we're working really hard in preserving Garcia pasture, Loma Alta. There's a whole slew of archaeological sites that start from the wildlife refuge all the way up to all the way up to Boca Chica, which puts the SpaceX right in the middle of building on top of one of our villages. And of course, we already know about Garcia Pasture, which is a national monument. And they're saying they're going to protect it, they're going to cover it and everything. But the thing is, we still don't have any access to our sacred sites where we can go and leave an offering or sing a song or even do a ceremony. These are places that had birthing rights. And that's one of the reasons that we continue to do these things. We know this for a fact because we grew up with those things. These are things that were handed down. And I think that a lot of people don't understand their connectedness to what's going on. And I think that a lot of us still practice in that colonial mindset where we romanticize and we appropriate and kind of hurt everything that's around us. Right now, we're even fighting the governor's wall on that he's building in Webb County, because they just destroyed like 3,000 plants of peyote, which is one of the medicines that gives us recognition, because we were living on those grounds all the time, and we had a certain ceremony for it all the time. And I think that we're still being attacked under this whole thing of the American Indian Religious Freedom Act. So we're looking at trying. And we're working on our federal recognition, but the thing is, I think we want it on our terms. We don't want it on the government's terms where they tell us or anybody tells us who we are. It's not up to them. We grew up a certain way. We know our language, and we grew up that way. And we lived among our people, and that's never changed. And all I do this because I love my people. I love being part of a history that is rich, but also at the same time very, very disheartening because of what they've done to us. And this genocide continues in Texas because the mentality in Texas is there's no Indians. But they always do stuff without consenting. I mean, they always do a lot of stuff without consulting us, and thinking that because nobody says anything, that's consent, and that means that they can go ahead and get a permit and start building. But they say, well, under the premise you're not a federally recognized tribe, so you can't. So we'll find ways to stop them. We have, and they continue to lie, and every lie we catch them at, we let them know, and it delays their construction. But you've got to know the land, you've got to know the history, and to be able to do those things. And that's why right now, what we're going to do one big thing, and that's go to France, look for some attorneys in France that will file lawsuits against France and Portugal, who are the ones that are looking for the LNGs from these two plants. And these are some of the original invaders of this land and the original murderers of my people. And I think that we have to call them to accountability so they can call this country into accountability. Nobody wants to recognize that, because if you don't do anything, you're actually part of the ongoing genocide. You're creating it, you're promoting it, you're perpetuating it. And if we don't do something about it, nobody will ever recognize that there's a genocide still going on. They said there were 100 million natives here that were living here at one time. There were more than that, but they keep the number down. So say, oh, well, not that many died because of what we've done. They find self-absolution. They absolve themselves from any wrongdoing, and that's what they do constantly with what is going on here. And spiritually, I tell you, my own spirituality lies in the tears, the blood, and the sweat of my people, trying to overcome the genocide that came here 530 years ago. And 530 years ago, they came to get the resources from this land. They took all the gold and silver they could get. And now they're still exporting resources. And now it's the LNG, now it's the gas and the oil and the coal and whatever else they can export over to Europe. And of course, yeah. And of course, one more thing quick again, and that's what Elon Musk is proposing, to invade Mars, to do the same thing. So.
Thank you so much, Juan, for keeping it real, as always, for connecting the dots, showing us how what's going on today is part of centuries of colonization and genocide on this land, and how it connects to our spiritual self, how there's deep wounds here that require us to heal, to reconcile, to repair our relations. So yeah, just deep gratitude. And please know Green Faith is there in France too, and with you here in Texas, and deeply grateful for your work and for your willingness to come and connect with us today.
Well, thank you for standing up for us too at Sarah Week. Thank you.
My honor, my pleasure. So I'll now pass to Tosin. Tosin, if you want to move us into a bit of a grounding prayer for our front lines, and then we'll go to breakouts.
Yes, thank you very much, Ali. Thank you once again, Joanne. Yes, we're now going to go into a short moment of prayers. For us as people of faith and spirit, we understand that and we draw strength from our spiritual practices, which strengthen us in times of challenges, trouble. And for people who are the front lines, we know fighting against forces that are bigger than them requires more than the physical strength. They also would require some more of spiritual support. And so we'll be having 1 or 2 minutes of silence to think about those people, to pass some words of prayers to them or blessings, send it to the people on the front lines, people like Joan and Baraka and some other people who are around the world fighting to stop the destruction of their home, their ancestral culture, and all that they have. People who are on the front line protecting their natural resources, protecting Mother Nature. We need prayers, we need our support in different ways. And you could also share some of your prayers in the chat. You could share some of your prayers in the chat. Thank you. So we have about 2 minutes for this.
Tosin, will you just read a couple of the prayers and then we'll move on? Just so folks who are listening to the recording can hear a little bit of what's been shared. Just one or two.
Yeah, thank you. Prayer from Ibrahim Abdul. I pray for the souls of my land-connected ancestors who were not colonized and lived in a sense of balance with the natural world. And from Lynette, we have prayer for families currently affected by floods in Kenya rural areas. Thank you. So I think with that, we'll like to move on to the next session. Ali. Thank you.
Thank you, Olawatosin. So friends, we'll move into breakout groups, and in this session, we'll be exploring some different campaigns around the world to give you the sense of what is possible, and give you ways to see that we together are doing this. Sometimes the idea of targeting financial corporations feels big and abstract. There's so many names, so many targets, but there are ways that we can break this down, find our points of leverage and our power as faith actors and institutions, and turn and influence these banks and asset managers and insurance companies as well. So we'll hear from 4 faith-based groups who are tackling climate finance and divestment campaigns in their own ways. And together we're building a mosaic, a movement addressing these many bank and financial actors. So we'll go into 4 small groups, but briefly, I want to have our 4 group leaders introduce themselves. We have first Anna Lewis with Faith for Climate based in the United Kingdom, Harita Iswara with Hindus for Human Rights based in the US, Joseph Daluan with Laudato Si Movement, and the Worldwide Catholic Climate Movement, and Joe Blumberg from Dayenu Jewish Climate Movement. So in that order, if you all would just briefly say hello and just the overview of your campaign and what you'll be talking about, we'll go in that order. Anna, Harita, Joseph, and Joe. Thank you.
Hi everyone, it's great to be joining, and I'm joining from London today. I'll be talking about my work with Quakers in Britain and as part of Faith for the Climate on a campaign targeting the insurance industry and asking them to stop insuring fossil fuels, and particularly focusing on not insuring ECOP.
Hi everyone, my name is Harita and I'm from Hindus for Human Rights, and I will be talking about the role of religious nationalism and corporate greed in aiding and abetting the climate crisis, specifically in India and in Asia and the West, in the East, and talking about how religious nationalism has kind of fueled, complacency and has allowed big corporations, coal and oil corporations, to continue the destruction of the planet.
Hi, Joseph. I'm currently in London, but I'm French, and come to my breakout room to talk about how do we convince faith-based institutions to divest from fossil fuel and to make those divestment commitments a way to raise a prophetic voice against the fossil fuel industry, which is sometimes a challenge when the faith you're a part of is not extremely into that kind of things.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm calling in from New York City, representing Dayenu, which is called Climate Action. And we are going to be talking about our current campaign to move Jewish communal assets in North America out of fossil fuels and leveraging our power as clients of financial institutions to pressure them to do the same.
Great. So those are the 4 breakout groups that we'll have. We do have to, just for the sake of time, we'll be doing 18-minute breakouts, and Chelsea is going to kick that off for us. So thank you all, and go ahead and choose which one of these you would like to join. So you should see an option to join a breakout room in your menu bar. If you click breakout rooms, there's the 4 options are now open. So go ahead and join a group, and Chelsea will be doing some support putting you where you want to go if anyone's having trouble finding that. So Chelsea, I'm going to pass it over to you if you want to moderate this space and help people get where they want to go.
Yeah, anybody need help with that? You should have the option. So, but let me know if you don't. I think people are slowly going.
If we could allow them to unmute in here, that way they'll be able to tell you more quickly.
Yep, unmute if you need help. Linda Ann, where would you like to go? Linda?
The first one, I guess.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
Didn't know where to go to find it. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, like, are we supposed to choose the room?
Yep, there should be an option for you. Which room would you like to go to, Nana? Or was that Nana?
Yes, yeah, the Quaker. I don't know which room is it.
Hold on.
Can you tell me which person was with Dayenu and the moving the Jewish communal assets?
Yep, that's hold on just a second. There's so much moving around, so it's hard to get everyone. Sorry, who's speaking?
That was Cynthia, and I was trying to remember which person was with moving the Jewish communal assets in North
Joe,
America.
but I'll send you there now. Ibrahim, I'm finding you and sending you to religious nationalism. There we go. Thomas also wants to go to the India one. Fizza also sending you to religious nationalism. Daniel going to Joe's room.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Nancy, I'm sending you to Anna's room. Okay, anyone else wanna? Oh, Francisco, sorry, I missed your message.
I just got,
No?
yeah, I just got the news from that you're gonna be staying till Monday.
I'm sorry, I can't, let me stop sharing this one. Who was just speaking? Oh. Fawn, where would you like to go?
Quakers.
Quakers, got it. Neil, where'd you like to go?
Dayenu, which means enough.
Yes. Anyone else? Susan?
Yeah, I'd like to go to the Laudato Si.
Great. Okay. Let me see, who else? Roden, Corpo, Fred, Asher, can I help you out with a breakout room? Oops. How are those breakout groups?
We had a great time. I got faked out by the timer. We had a few more seconds.
Oh no.
Yeah, I know many folks are still, we'll probably see them in like 20 seconds. Here we go. Coming back. Okay. So, oh, now we're just doubling in size. I love seeing the balloon of like, okay, we were 25, here we are. back to 60. And welcome back. We know it was not enough time. There's so much to get into together on these really important topics. But we want to ask if there's anything you feel really alive about, any key takeaways you have from the conversation in your group, go ahead and put that in the chat. And that way we can kind of see and do a little bit of cross-pollination here around what are we learning? What are we thinking on? What's really inspiring and moving us here? Yes, go ahead, Anna, and put your email in the chat. Thank you. And then everyone else, what's one thing that you heard that will stick with you? Go ahead and write that in the chat, and then I'll read them aloud. Donna says, I love Joe Blumberg's roadmap for Dayenu's theory of change to move our money out of fossil fuel finance. Robert says, connecting with others who are already at work in divesting. Fred says, to appreciate what we have at the moment. From Daniel, love your God with all your might and your wealth. From Francisco, we need educational tools that we can use to make presentations to our local churches or church bodies, as well as to civic organizations. Let's get those tools out there. Anna is really inspired by Dayenu's work and keen to see other denominations do the same. A gorgeous quote from the book of Matthew from Amy that totally lines up with our theory of change, or theology of change. I love that. And here we are. Joseph shared his email address and more information about that campaign in the chat if you want to, maybe you weren't part of that group and you want to connect, or maybe you were and want to follow up. And great, I love it. Chances to collaborate and learn nonviolent strategies for getting money out of fossil fuel insurers, banks, etc. And finding points of leverage is a great idea. Thank you all so much. Clearly, these were really rich conversations, and may they continue. I know they will. Chelsea will be sharing more about the ongoing campaign and circle building work to keep building these connections. And for now, I'll pass it over to Tosin.
Thank you, Ali. Yeah, so quickly, we have the ask. It's a big ask. Green Faith is looking for leaders who want to take bold action on climate change and climate finance. And yes, sorry. So please, we implore you to come to our action hour tomorrow. We'll be introducing a new Green Faith working group that will focus on climate finance and strategy as we begin to build this movement together. And yes, I think we also want you to sign moral standard letter. I'm sure the link to the letter will be put in the chat, especially if you represent a faith institution. Please, we need your sign on. And also for individuals, we need you to sign on and also to share with your friends, your institutions, and families. So joining us in this fight, we're looking for leaders like you. So together, we can create a world that's just, fair, a world that we can be proud to bequeath to generation after us. At the link in the chat, sorry, I couldn't see the chat.
Yes, they're there.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe if our tech support, William Morris, posted them at 12:24. And here again, Abby has posted them. So here's the two links to click on and sign if you have not yet. This is our moral standard statement to those asset managers. And we have one last link for you, which is a very short survey just to tell us how this session was and what else you're missing, what else you want to see. So we'll take just 2 minutes to fill out this survey. And here's the link in the chat. So that will open it up. You'll see just 2 questions. How was this session from 1 to 5? And what would you change or add to this session? So everyone go ahead and take just a couple minutes to fill this out before we leave. Thank you so much. I'll go ahead and do it too. And And then we have a music video for you, which you are going to love. So stay tuned. Don't leave just yet. Okay, let me see some thumbs up or some a quick note in the chat if you're done. See a few people still working on it. We'll give them just a few more seconds. Awesome. Okay. So I'll go ahead and introduce our music video. Feel free to keep typing, or if it's too much for you, just hold on to it and do it once we wrap up. So this music video is a combination of 2 Green Faith songs that we've been making with our partner, the Peace Poets, Lu Aya. And this is from our leaders in Indonesia. So it's got a children's choir and Pia Pie, one of our leaders and partners there. And it's just really beautiful. And I hope you love it. I hope you share it with your community. And please feel free to sing along as well.
Just one moment, sorry, technical difficulties. Sorry, it disappeared from my screen for some reason. So hold on just a second. I'll be right with you. Keep filling out those surveys.
Yeah, and I'll share the lyrics. Love now, the earth is calling now. Love now, the earth is calling now. One day we'll be proud we kept the oil in the ground. Love now, love now, love now. Those are the lyrics to Love Now. And this song is, again, a fusion. The other song goes, we've got faith in the people. We got faith in the planet. We got faith we can make it through. How's the other line go? Amy, do you remember?
And today is the day that will stand for creation and for future generations too.
Thank you.
I think that's the right song.
Yep.
Love now, love now, love now. The earth is calling now. We got faith in the people, we got faith in the planet, we got faith we can make it through. And today is the day we will stand for creation and for future generations too. Love now, love now, love now. The earth is calling now. Love now, love now, love now. The earth is calling now. Someday we'll be proud we kept the oil in the ground. Love now, love now, love now. The earth is calling now.
all for being with us. Here's the link to the video. William put it in the chat too. You may have had a little technical challenges seeing it, so feel free to open and bookmark the link and watch it again. And please share this with your communities anytime, and we'll ripple out the love, the care, and the courage to take action together. So thank you. Hopefully see you again tomorrow at the same time, noon Eastern, for our action hour. And blessings and have a great day.